Do you know that normal fear, I'm scared of height, is a mental health issue?
Wow.
Yeah. I'm scared of dark places is a mental health issue. There are people who are claustrophobic. There are people who are, arachnophobic. Well-being, your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, the physical well-being.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So, what is mental health?
So, mental health is basically a combination of your emotional health, your social well-being, your psychological well-being, practically everything about your being and your state. That's what basically mental health is all about. I think a lot of people, are confused. When you say mental health, the first thing that comes to mind is, the mindset or anything. Yes, the word mental.
I thought mental health has everything to do with going mad on the streets.
No. It's actually, your social well-being, your mental well-being, your emotional well-being, the physical well-being, because you can have a problem physically and it can affect how you think. So it's practically the human being in totality, the human state. So mental health encompasses a lot of things.
So according to the UN, it says around 100 million Africans have issues with mental health.
Yeah.
All right. So why is it so alarming in Africa? Because in Africa, look, I believe Africans, we are strong. The situation that we are acclimatized with hardship. So I mean, we pretty much tough guys here. So I don't see the reason why we as Africans should suffer some kind of mental breakdown, so to say. So why is it so all of a sudden alarming in Africa?
So someone said that the African cannot be depressed because naturally being an African alone is depression on its own. So you don't say I'm depressed as an African, but that's not true. There are lots of things that actually come into play when we talk about the state of a person's mental health. So trauma in your early life or from your childhood, adolescent to the time you grow. So all these things affect how you behave. So it could even be passing an exam, failing an exam, having a loved one dying, and having an issue with struggling with a job. So literally, that's why I said literally everything about you is mental health. So somebody can complete a university, 10 years, still not have a job. It could affect how he behaves and how he thinks. It could affect him psychologically. It could affect him socially. So it could make him withdraw from people. Somebody can go through, a period where he or she will be raped, and because of that, he would have a disdain for men and will withdraw from people, be a bit, want to be secluded away from people. So it's
pretty much a broad topic.
It's pretty much a broad thing, and the thing about Africa is that we do not take these things seriously. I think that now with time, people are taking it seriously. That's why we are seemingly recording a lot of cases, because the Lancelot Institute in 2000 to 2015 did a research where close to just about 1.4 papers, as in theories or more or less research, had been done on mental. It was very few, up until they realized that no, there are a lot of cases in Africa, there are a lot of cases in West Africa, there are a lot of cases across Africa that are mental health inclined, that have been ignored. Because like you said, how many parents would want to go and say, okay, let's go and see a professional psychologist or a psychiatrist because my child is going through an emotional trauma.
When we talk about, whenever we mention psychiatrist, it means there's some stigma attached to it. You can't tell me to go and see a psychiatrist. You mean I'm going mad, right?
That's the thing with Africans. So we have the situation, it's with us, but there's a stigma attached to it. So most of the cases are hidden. They are not well recorded. Unlike in the Western world, where a child can be going through issues with her academics. Learning disorders are even issues of mental health. A child can be going through learning disorders in school, so they will be struggling. They could go and see a therapist. They could go and see a professional. That's a mental health issue. But down here, even in school, if you're not good in school, they lump you all together and they say, oh, you're not good. The teacher starts whipping you and all of that.
So you mean some of the problems that students, like especially kids, are having with their ability to absorb whatever they are being taught in school has some kind of relationship with the mental health?
Majority.
Like, seriously.
So when we talk about mental health, like I said, it has to do with your emotion, psychological, social well-being. So the mental health cases or issues are broad. Stress is a mental health issue. Depression is a mental health issue. There are a lot of disabilities they cannot be categorized into mental issues. Even learning disability, like I said, when we say a child has an ability, a problem reading, so a child could be dyslexic. So dyslexic is you struggle to read, you struggle to spell. So imagine a child is in school and a child has this condition. Naturally, it would affect his ability to catch up with other students. So one, they would have self-esteem issues. They would have issues, being around students who are good. So all these are mental health. So if a child is in school and is going through that, and the teacher is not able to recognize that, what the teacher will do is that, oh, you are bad in school. In Africa here, we punish students a lot. More or less, we say, oh, you cane them, you lash them. That's the word. So if you do that, you are literally hurting the child more than in a way trying to help
the child.
Yeah.
Wow. So in the case of Africa, per the statistics revealed, about like more than 100 million people have mental health issues. All right,
over 100 million.
We are talking about an output, a total output of over $2 trillion US.
Exactly.
That's we as African, this workforce, or this what's really is alarming in all this is that the age is between 14 and 18. True. Right, which is sickening. It's like we are losing a lot of resources, a lot of money, a lot of output to mental health issues. Why is our leader so numb about it?
It's not about the leaders being numb about it. It's about the perception people have about mental health, the stigma that a lot of people have about mental health. Like you said, in Africa here, when somebody is schizophrenic, or when somebody is psychotic, or having issues with psychosis and all of that, even having anxiety issues, the first question is, let's go and see a spiritualist.
Wow.
We try to spiritualize everything, and it backdates to the 18th century, where we try to associate mental health issues with spirituality. So even back then in the Catholic Church, there's something we call exorcism.
Yeah.
So if somebody has a mental health condition, they will rather spiritualize it, or let's go and see an exorcist.
Okay.
So where they will try to cast out the demon in it. You see, mental health is not necessarily demonic. It's just like you having a headache. Somebody can be mentally ill. The same way you can be physically ill. You can have issues because the brain is a muscle. The brain is an organ. The brain is part of the body, just like the heart is part of the body. The ear is part of the body. The nose is part of the body. As we see here, my nose could be hurting. What will I do? I'll go and see a doctor. They'll prescribe medicine. I will not go and see a pastor to pray for my nose to what is it called? The pain to subside. The same way, if you're having issues psychologically, if you're going through extreme stress, if you're going through extreme anxiety, mood disorders, mood swings, you go and see a professional, a psychologist or a psychiatrist. They'll prescribe medicine. They'll prescribe therapy. So our problem here is that we do not understand what mental health is, and there's a lot of stigma around it. So how can we deal with it when we do not even know the situation at hand? That's why we are losing a lot of labor, a lot of money, a lot of human resource. Because imagine from 14 to 18, a lot of these teenagers who are supposed to grow and become better people in the future, they are going through a lot of mental health issues. Female ladies, they go through a lot of trauma. They go through a lot.
They contribute about 60%.
Exactly. There are several mental health issues that some are akin to women. Several mental health issues, some are akin to men. Some are akin to children. So the onus lies on us, the various health institutions, to practically put out the education out there that, listen, mental health issues are equally as important as physical health. Like I said, just as the body can at some point break down, the human mind can at some point break down. And just as you take your pain to the doctor, the physician, to treat you, the same way when the mind or the psyche breaks down, you need to go and see a professional to be treated.
So as a clinical psychologist and also a minister, a reverend minister, what's the direct correlation between mental health and spirituality, and mental health and science? So at what point should someone seek for medical attention? At what point because I've spoken to a lot of people. Some, I mean, I spoke to one doctor, and it's like, it's not everything that you have to associate it with medicine or science. Sometimes I'm a doctor, and I have to tell, no, the person was telling me that I'm a doctor, and sometimes you need to seek for spiritual, I mean, attention. So, sure. Like, what's the correlation? I mean, sometimes it gets all of us confused. That's I mean, so, come on, guys.
I'm sure our listeners know this, but the truth of the matter is that we are spiritual beings. And personally, I'm a psychologist. I'm a clinical psychologist, as well as I'm a minister, a reverend minister. So I know when to draw the line.
So actually, there is some kind of correlation.
There is a correlation. We are spiritual beings, and maybe some people may not believe in the spirituality aspect, but we are spiritual beings. Whatever happens physically happens spiritually, and the mind is such that the ability of the mind to oscillate between the physical and the spiritual is very, very sharp. That's how we are created. Now, there are things that, like you said, naturally medicine cannot solve it.
Wow.
There are things that naturally spirituality will not solve it.
Wow.
There are things that you need to go and see a doctor, a professional, a clinical psychologist, a general practitioner. No pastor can, say, oh, when if you have to apply, what is it called, a drug to a wound to get it healed, this is not going to see a reverend minister.
So for starters, if you have any mental issue, the first point should be see a doctor.
The first point is to see a doctor, because, like I said, mental health is emotional, is social, is psychological. Imagine a person loses a father who has been taking care of her or him all throughout his life, and he lost the father at a point where he or she needed the father most. At that point, the father is the person is going through a lot of psychological trauma. It could even metamorphose into what we call PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, where because of the trauma it will affect his future dealings. Anytime he or she remembers the pain of losing that loved one, it triggers an emotional breakdown. They will withdraw, they would feel sad, they will be angry, they will be all of that. When you're going through that, these things, you don't need to go and see your pastor, pray for me, no, you need to go and see a professional. They will take you through a series of therapies. Even at some point, there are certain mental health conditions where you will not be able to sleep.
You
don't have to pray that away. It takes maybe antipsychotic drugs, antidepressant drugs to calm the various nerves and there are certain neurons and tissues in your body that's creating all these things in your body. So these antidepressant, antipsychotic, anti-anxiety drugs calm your nerves down. But when there are certain points to where, like I said, we are spiritual beings, where you get to the point where the things that are happening around you are not physical, they are operating in the spiritual realm. That point, you need to go and see a professional as in the air.
But how can we know in the first place?
So this is
you have to do the two pretty much.
I always say, you do the two pretty much. So for me, anytime I'm speaking to a client, I advise you do the two. And you see, it helps. When you are taking a drug, even me, I do it. When I have a slight headache, I'll pray over it. God, as I take this drug, I pray that this drug will cause me to be healed. Even Jesus didn't discount modern day medicine. One of his apostles was a doctor. Luke was a physician. So in scripture, one thing people do not know is that, why are you trying to spiritualize everything? God, the paracetamol, the various painkillers are gotten from plants that were created by God.
Cool.
Yes. The various drugs that we use to treat these antidepressant, they were created by God.
Every time the source has everything to do with nature.
So you cannot, what is it called, break the two apart. There is a link, there's a correlation, there's a thin line between the physical aspect and the spiritual aspect.
God and science.
God is science. One thing a lot of people refuse, you cannot disassociate science with God. A lot of people want to break the two, but no, God is science, science is God. The ability of somebody, a doctor, to cut you open and solve a problem, that is science, that is God, that is mystic. The ability of a doctor to cut your head open, put some stitches together and solve your heart issue, That is science. That is mystic. That's God. The same way, it's a mystery that how did the doctor put something here, push something, and all of a sudden the person's heart is working. The same way, how did the pastor touch you and all of a sudden your heart is working? They're all mysteries, and there's a synergy, there's a correlation. So I don't want people to break the two apart.
Okay.
It may sound controversial, but I don't want people to disassociate the two.
But this is not controversial. Sometimes
science is God and God is science. You may not believe in God, but you see, anybody who does not even believe in God believes in something.
Yeah.
I do not think that there is anybody on this earth who does not believe in anything. Even the fact that you don't believe in God is a belief on its own. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I get you.
I don't believe that clinical psychosis cases should be dealt spiritually. That's a belief on its own. So even if you do not believe in God, it's a belief that you do not believe in God. So nobody believes in nothing. At some point, you believe in something. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
So mental health issues, for me, over the years, there's been an evolution. It's not just in Africa, even in the West. Over the years, they treated this as what? Something spiritual. Like I told you, in the Catholic Church back then, they exorcised mental health patients. They felt that it was demonic. They used exorcism. But over the years,
was it working?
At some point, it was working. And there are cases where they couldn't exorcise the demons and the people had to be killed. The patients died out of it. So there were points where it worked, points where it didn't work. Some even cases of reoccurrence of these possessions and all that. But over the years, there's been an evolution. They've realized that no, come on, these schizophrenic cases can be treated. These psychotic cases can be treated. These, mild depression cases can be treated. These chronic depression cases can be treated. Even, do you know that normal fear, I'm scared of height, is a mental health issue?
Wow.
Yeah. I'm scared of dark places is a mental health issue. There are people who are claustrophobic. There are people who are, arachnophobic. They are afraid of spiders. I don't know what you're afraid.
Wow.
There are people who are afraid of spiders. People who are afraid of snakes. All these fear are mental health issues, because psychologically you program yourself that this thing will harm you or this thing makes you feel this way. Especially claustrophobic people who are afraid of enclosed and dark spaces. They get panic attacks. They stop breathing. They begin to feel like they are having an asthmatic attack. That could kill them. There are people who have had panic attacks and they have died, and that's a mental health issue, and it needs to be treated as a sickness. And you don't have to try and overly spiritualize it. The person is just afraid of dark spaces or afraid of going to climbing a tall building. They're afraid of height. That is not spiritual. It's just a fear that you need to overcome.
Yeah.
You get it? So there are therapies and all of that is used in dealing with all these issues.
All right. So your last words.
my last word is that in Africa here, I think it's high time we take a lot of mental health issues seriously.
I agree, because we're losing trillions of dollars.
Exactly.
Come on.
We need to take mental health very, very seriously. Monitor the mental health situation of your spouse. Monitor the mental health situation of your siblings. Monitor the mental health situation of your children in school. How are they coping? You see, there are signs that you can easily tell that a person is going through mental health issues. And let me run by you quickly. So all of a sudden, a person who is very lively is withdrawn. All of a sudden, he or she is withdrawn, doesn't like to come close to people. All of a sudden, they begin to talk about death. Like they lose interest in life. They begin to talk about that. There are people like that. Such people, they all of a sudden they will have suicidal thoughts.
Oh.
They are not interested in life again. All of a sudden, a person who is very happy, bubbly, all of a sudden, the mood has changed, has switched from to a melancholic mood or a thing. You need to be careful. When somebody, is even being extremely happy, you need to be very careful. People who sit down and they begin to tell you, I'm hearing these voices, I'm seeing these things, you need to pay attention. They could be hallucinating, and they could have paranoia, and it could all be symptoms of, being a sociopath, a psychopath. There are a lot of issues suffering from schizophrenia and all of this. So pay attention to people. There are people who are depressed that people do not know.
Yeah.
People who are going through a lot of stress that people do not know. At the workplace, the work environment, create an atmosphere where it will be stress-free. Your workers will live stress-free. It affects their mental health. So
and pretty much also affects output.
It affects output, because imagine your workers are heavily stressed. They'll come back, they do not have enough sleep. And let me add, not being able to sleep well is a sign of a mental health issue. If you're a person that naturally you sleep very well, all of a sudden there's a change in your sleep pattern. You hit the bed and you struggle to sleep, or you hit the bed and you sleep off, like you sleep off more than you do. There's a sign that there's something wrong with you. So we need to pay attention to all these things.
Wow, this is crazy, guys. No, this is what this is the best content I've ever posted on this very channel. All right, so if you want to see our guest today, the clinical psychologist, the Reverend Minister, please check the number on the screen. Just contact him. He's a consultant. He's going to give you all that you need to make sure that you have a good mental health. Not, corporate, if you're a company, whatever, whoever you are, make sure that you just check the description. You will see his contact there, or you can see his contact on the screen. Until then, guys, see you in the next video. Please subscribe and like this video. Bye.